What are some tips you'd give on intentional communication?
I would say when we're kind of in the middle of this discussion, you're like, I could have just not said anything and then we wouldn't have had this conversation. I'm like, yeah, but then you wouldn't have spoken up and then you would have been stirring on it and then you feel like you wouldn't have had a voice. And it's like, no, you need to be able to.
Like, we all learn communication. I kind of realized some of this yesterday was like, we learn how we communicate from like our upbringing and stuff.
Yeah.
And my childhood was just a lot of bad examples of communication.
If I don't know how to do it, then I don't know how to help. And now you're like, I can ask questions.
Yeah.
I can be available. And that shows humility.
In the end, we're on the same team. We want the same things.
Yeah.
Like, we want us to be healthy. We want us to be happy. We want to do this life together. Well, this is episode 2 of the podcast.
Yeah.
Becky's feeling much better this week.
Yeah, you may have noticed, you may not have. I was very sniffly, and that was the first day, or like the day before I got just sick for like a week, and that sucked. So I was not in good spirits that day. I was like, I feel tired. Why am I sniffly? I don't have allergies typically, so yeah. It was not fun.
You look good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was waiting to tell you when you came out here. It's because I noticed in there, but I wanted to tell you in front of
You want so everybody else to know?
No.
Yeah. No, feeling good.
Yeah.
We're outside.
Yeah, so we're kind of like right in the seat. This is our backyard. We were kind of like last minute, like, what's the angle we're going to use? Because a lot of things are still half dead, but they're coming to life.
Yeah.
And
the sun is right this direction, so if I'm like squinty, that's why.
Yeah.
He gave me that one.
Well, but you have a better backdrop than I do. You
have 2.
I have a wood wall. Oh, and I moved the lime and the
lemon tree. The lemon is on the right isn't looking so good.
No, but maybe it'll come back. But yeah, honestly, we had a pretty good response out of the first episode, which was pretty cool to watch, and just to see, because we were just jumping in for the first time.
Yeah, I've never done a podcast, and I watched back and I was like, kind of looks like I've never done a podcast.
No, I feel like overall you were pretty natural.
Okay.
But I could tell that you were just getting sick.
I just didn't. I was like, man, I feel like I look mean.
You look mean.
Or I feel mean, but I was just not feeling good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for today. We've got a lot of cool things like planned for today, like projects, and as soon as we're done here, we're gonna put on our work clothes and
hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could keep this.
Yeah.
But I probably won't because it'll get dirty.
It's kind of like Aunt Jemima-y, or not like in a bad way.
Aunt Jemima.
No, who's the
the
Riveter? Pinup girl? Is that
Rose the Riveter?
Yeah, her.
Is that right? If not, just correct us.
I don't know. But they both wear bandanas, yeah?
Yeah.
Aunt Jemima and the bomber girl.
The Riveter, right?
Riveter.
Rose the Riveter?
Maybe.
We're probably wrong.
Yeah, so we kind of want to dig in. We've got several more questions, and we're going to try to keep these podcasts around 30 minutes and under, mainly because her camera only records for 29 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
And
we usually jam pack our Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So it's like,
stay on task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay on task.
And if we just go and go and go, then we feel unproductive later.
Yeah,
and that would wasted the day away. But kind of want to dig in before we get into like questions and stuff. I just want to see like how are you doing this week? How are you feeling? How are you?
Feeling better. I'm not sick.
Yeah.
Feeling good. So I work at a breakfast place and get up early, and it's so fun when people are like, "So what time do you get up?" I'm like 4. We get up at 4.
Yeah.
Like, oh, but it's so nice because this eye is bugging me. It's like watering. Sorry. It's nice to have those mornings. So I am doing good. I feel like when I got my energy back, it felt really, really good because the energy was really, really low, almost like I was dragging and like I could cry.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to just clean one more table and then I'll be able to go home. Yeah, that's how I felt. So now I'm feeling good. Started a bunch of seeds from the garden, and it's fun to watch those pop up. We're going to plant some stuff today that can handle a little cooler weather.
Yeah.
So it just feels like things are kind of coming to life, but also I feel like I get a little stressed because I'm like, there's so much to do. But this year, what's different is that you're along, like you're helping, and the kids will be helping, and so it's going to feel more like a team effort.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be super, super fun.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good. You
Good.
feeling good? How are you feeling?
Yeah. I feel good. Yeah, I feel like there's just been more and more like just peace in life than maybe we've ever had, which feels amazing. Whether it's
It does
peace
feel really good.
like between you and me, and peace just across the board. You know, not like we're busy for sure, but not like we're dying. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, we're swimming.
yeah, we're doing
We're not
good.
drowning.
And so yeah, I feel pretty good. The routine of just life has felt pretty smooth. You know, I definitely enjoy Tuesdays when we can spend this together, and also
Yeah.
like we have a whole list of the projects we're gonna do today. You know, go load the trailer up about 4 or 5 times with different things.
Yep.
But that always feels good. It's kind of like Tuesdays are our get our life together day, but spending
Yeah.
good time together. Now I'm sniffly.
He's the one with allergies,
I know.
unfortunately.
And yeah, but yeah, it's nice to like kind of getting back into the spring life is nice because we're gonna be back into like mowing the yard and getting like I love like keeping that stuff up, and I am excited about helping with the garden this year. That's definitely something that she did herself in the past, and
Yeah.
I grew up like doing gardens, but I think I got burnt out on it. So I was just like, to me, like gardens are the devil
Yeah.
because we were forced to do it.
Yeah. My dad was a big gardener, so I didn't really like help him that much. I mean, I would if he asked, but I was, a teenager doing my own thing, and now I'm like, I wish I could ask him all the questions. He
Yeah.
passed away 5 years ago. It'll be 6 in June of this year, so I wish I could ask him all the questions.
Yeah.
It was very sudden, and so being in June, it was like the garden was flourishing.
Yeah.
There's stuff popping up everywhere. So we did have a big gathering. My dad loved to host, and so a lot of my dad's friends came over, and we were just reflecting on his life. And one of the coolest parts of that night was people went out to the garden, and they were picking peppers and cucumbers and tomatoes, and they were able to take it home to just share the hard work he did. And he was the type of person that would take a big silver bowl, and he would load them up with the tomatoes and cucumbers, and he would go around the cul-de-sac and just, hey, you want some peppers? You want tomatoes? You want some cucumbers? And so I want to have us carry that on. So it's really cool to have that hobby because, one, he did it. 2, there's things already here set in place. So, like, we're not starting from scratch. And 3, like, getting to share so much of our hard work with people and, provide for people in a way to give them like fresh stuff.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, we actually live in the house that you grew up in, that your dad designed, and when was the house built?
It was 1990.
1990.
So I was 2.
I was 0.
You were 0. Yeah, you would have been 0. You would have been in your mom's belly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just so cool to see how we can make new memories and how we can change things in a way that like betters the life here, and like this used to be like a green, like a teal green, and then I spray painted it a couple years ago black.
It's lasting.
Yeah.
That paint lasted.
Yep.
Usually what they say on the cans does not match up with how things last, but
no, I worked.
we went the right route.
Whew, all the nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
that was a project, but it just like, I went to go adjust my glasses that aren't here.
Keep talking.
So it just was really cool to see like that instant change. And, you know, something I want to record today is putting up the cattle panels.
Yeah.
If we can do that today or, you know, sometime, but we're going to get cattle panels and create archways for the garden. There's a center aisle, so we'll get to have like more vertical growth and more of a statement piece, which is something, you know, my dad hadn't really delve into, like, and so it's fun to make it our own. So yeah, I'm excited.
Talking about kind of like building a loft in the garage. All of a sudden we were cleaning the garage the other day and I had this like light bulb moment, because I was like, there's always, with 4 kids, there's always so much just crap everywhere.
Stuff that we don't use
bikes,
scooters, 3 little cars, like the cozy coupes.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, we don't need all of those out at all times. And during the winter, the garage is like unusable on half of it because of like putting all the summer stuff away, like the pool chairs. We should put the cooler away, but we always leave that out.
I know.
But putting that stuff away would be nice, and then be able to like store that stuff up above, because we have a really tall garage.
And it's about what, 2.5 car garage?
Yeah, 2.5 car garage. So we could do it over top of the half.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're gonna go get lumber for that hopefully today.
Yep.
Lumber's not cheap.
No.
But we did just sell the Harley.
Yeah, there was a Harley, not my idea, your idea to sell it. I always want to cover my tracks, be like, oh, his wife must have made him. It's like, no, I didn't actually.
We've had it since 2017, and I just don't ride it too much anymore. It's not like smart, because I'm like, everywhere I go, I'm either hauling kids or gear.
Yeah, and like, you know, being a homeowner, this year our investment is the pool pump.
Yep.
You know, we have a saltwater pool, which my dad, the year he passed, it was crazy. He had switched it from chemical chlorine to salt water. And on the counter, when we like went into the house for the first time after he passed away, he was a big notes guy. He would write dates on everything, very meticulous. And there was the date, June 28th, which is the day he passed. So he was heading to see my sister and for his granddaughter's birthday and another birthday that weekend. So he must have at that morning like made little notes and little critiques and stuff and left it there. So I do have that still. Yeah. But, you know, that was almost 6 years ago. And
well, and a lot of that system kind of carried over. So it was like, even when he transferred it over, it's still a lot of the same things.
Yeah, years and years and years.
He basically started using a salt cell instead of everything else. I don't know what a chlorine pool has, but we're actually, because we're replacing the pump, all of like the saltwater cell, the head unit, like all of that stuff.
We're not doing a sand filter anymore.
No, I forget what the other thing's called. A cartridge filter.
Yeah.
All the random stuff that you learn when you're a homeowner.
Yeah, so that's that's not cheap.
No.
So, I mean, the Harley is going to go towards that, which is nice because that's something that we're going to use and we're going to benefit from. Yeah. It's not going to just like go away like that. Like, we're going to be able to use that, hopefully.
For years, I've been struggling, because that was the thing too, is he didn't have time to dial the pool in. Like, he just transferred it to saltwater and didn't get through a season. Like, we were coming over for the first day that it was open, really. The next day, and then he passed.
Yeah, it was wild.
So we've been kind of like, all right, let's figure this out. But now, yeah, that's something that we'll probably record too, is like record the process of figuring out the new pool system.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part of like this channel, is like we do so many random things. Like I put out a multicam editing tutorial last week, and then we'll probably do a behind the scenes of a plant wall and a loft and cattle panels and because I want to plant the plant wall today. Yeah.
There's so much. And then sourdough, we filmed that, but it was so funny, we forgot to film that like after, so we just took like a video or a picture.
Photos, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it turned out great.
Yeah.
And actually on Saturday to Sunday, I made 2 regular loaves and then a jalapeno cheddar loaf and then a white chocolate cranberry loaf.
So good.
It was
She had to tell
good.
me to not eat the rest of the cranberry while she was
Yeah.
at work.
It's like,
And it was hard.
save us some.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that. There's a lot of different hobbies we're doing, a lot of different projects, and that's what's so fun is we don't want to be complacent, but we also want to be, what's the other C word? You're content.
Content. Yeah.
Like we're content, but we're not complacent.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. And that's what God calls us to do, is not be complacent. And be content, I feel.
Yeah. And I think, so we got like those kind of hobbies of like garden, home things.
Home
Or,
DIY.
DIY. And really kind of diving back into the music side of things. Like
Yeah.
worship has become like like we've always been involved in the worship side, but like there's just a new fire that is,
Yeah.
like our lives are aligned so much better, and we're like aligned with the Spirit, and just like excited for what God's doing through worship at our church, through worship in our home, things
Yeah.
that we're working on, and also just like music writing in general. As I feel like all of a sudden like my writer's block is gone.
Yeah.
So
You
it's
have
just
like, I think 4 songs you're working on.
I know. I wish I had the time and ability to produce it all out. But it's like, yeah, we've got literally 4 songs that are just pretty much complete. Just got to record them.
Yeah, and I have never really written songs, so right now it is mainly you, but like being able to come alongside that and it's gonna be fun and
Yeah.
exciting, and also wanting to have people over to like who play as well or who don't, just to like
Yeah.
open a space to worship in our home. It's gonna be super fun. And we got so we had a piano, a console piano, I think is what it's called. What I used to play growing up. It's the exact same piano, and then it got moved back into our house. It was at my mom's, and so we had it tuned after letting it settle for a few weeks, and then we're gonna get it retuned because it's rough shape.
It had been years since it had been tuned. So.
Oh, years and years and years. So hopefully this next tuning will stick for a few months, and then we can, but being able to play a little bit more again is really fun. And once it's like nice and tuned, then we can play together. Like you play guitar, I'll play piano, and just create a space in our home that like even our kids can come and join in. And
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be super fun.
No, I love that. Yeah. So I figure we could jump in a few of these questions. We got several more since the last podcast, and then some that we didn't get to last week, but we won't get to all of them today. One of them, that's actually next in line though, is says, personally in our marriage we struggle with communication in many areas! ! What are some tips you'd give on intentional communication?
I would say, first and foremost, if you have conflict, your typical response is going to be like flight, fright, or frozen. So your body is physically and mentally trying to protect itself. So I think it starts with figuring out how you can handle yourself in those moments and get yourself out of that space. Because reacting and like communicating with your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend is not wise.
Yeah.
So once you're out of that space and you're able to like process, or however that looks, some people like me like to process right away and like figure out like I want this to be settled now, so that I don't have to think about it. Like let's just talk about it. And some other people like you like to maybe take a moment to think about it and then come back to give space. So I think intentionality is knowing your spouse and knowing if they want time or if they want to just talk about it right now. And I think that would be huge. Like, what can I do for you to allow this space to be safe for us to like talk about this?
Yeah. And I think, and also like the 3 Fs, fight, flight, frozen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, those aren't something that you can just like cut off if you're living with somebody that you don't trust or don't respect or don't like, those things, that all comes along with like
That's very true.
your spouse being, you know, you realize that you're on the same team, he's trustworthy, she's trustworthy. So, I mean, don't take that as like, oh, I just got to cut this off, and just, it takes both sides to like, to get there, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and not cut it off, but like allow yourself the time to get out of that space.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And not like you have to cut it off and you can't respond that way. Like, no, that's human
your
nature.
Natural, yeah.
That's just our protection.
Yeah.
So like, okay, how can I calm myself down? Is that taking a walk? Is that listening to music? Is that, you know, I don't know what it is for other people. For me, it's like I just need to get by myself for a minute.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and we, you know, I think being super intentional with your communication, like, we had I think this happened after last podcast. We haven't talked about it, but we had I just texted you one morning and just said like, hey, can we set aside some time and let's talk tonight? And you're like, absolutely we can.
Yeah.
Reminded me of Pam from The Office. Absolutely I can.
Absolutely I will.
Absolutely I will. And that was the first time we had a conversation that was like set aside. We ended up having it the next morning because we were too tired that night. But that was the first time we did it proactively, because usually our conversations were like, because it was an emergency, like we had to sit down and talk, or we were already something was already wrong, you know what I mean? Like, so intentionally taking that time to talk and just like catch up, see how we're doing, how we're feeling about things, because one of us might feel like we're great, like everything's great, and then the other one might be like, man, something feels off. And we don't know that until, you know, and then your head and you create things in your mind. And so that was really good. I think everybody is, like, we all learn communication. I kind of realized some of this yesterday, was like, we learn how we communicate from like our upbringing and stuff.
Yeah.
And my childhood was just a lot of bad examples of communication. My parents did not know how to communicate well. And so it was a lot of, so I realized a lot of times, like when you and I have a conflict, we can talk it out, and you're even looking at me, you grab my hand, you're like, it's going to be okay. We can have hard conversations. But I used to like, can't remember what popped in my brain. It was like,
you used to associate conflict with like somebody leaving.
Yeah. Like when my parents would fight or argue, it wasn't even fight, but it would turn into something very big, very dramatic, and we would pack up our things and leave, you know, or like, so conflict equaled like the end of the world type of thing. That sun's getting brighter.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm trying to kind of retrain myself in, is like being intentional, understanding we're on the same team, so we can talk about the thing. We're not going to always agree about everything. Like, that's not possible.
No.
But like talking it out, realizing in the end, we're on the same team. We want the same things.
Yeah.
Like, we want us to be healthy. We want us to be happy. We want to do this life together. And so if we realize that, like, you know, we are human. We're going to have different opinions, thoughts, ways of doing things, and just like actually talking it out with that thought in mind is just healthy. Like, you can't just stir on things forever, and then you build like resentment.
Yeah, because like you're when we're kind of in the middle of this discussion, you're like, you know, I could have just not said anything, and then we wouldn't have had this conversation. I'm like, yeah, but then you wouldn't have spoken up, and then you would have been stirring on it, and then you feel like you wouldn't have had a voice. And it's like, no, you need to be able to speak up when something's bothering you, because I did that for so long where I just didn't speak up, or I'd like have to wait for the very perfect thing to say. And it's like, this is healthy to figure out conflict
Yeah.
Those birds flew
they're
close.
coming in hot.
I wonder if anybody saw that. Probably not. But
yeah, and that was definitely like I went into this, maybe that was my fight or fright or whatever, like fight or flight kicking in, because I was like, my heart was racing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna turn out to be a bad argument. But in the end, it was just like, oh, okay. And it took me a minute to just like chill and realize that just because of the way I've always associated conflict doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be now. Like, we're healthier than our parents.
Yeah. And like,
Or our
I think we are working towards that. And like, I'm learning, like, I feel like, I'm not saying I'm like the best or anything like that, but I feel like I can handle that conflict.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I feel secure in our marriage and air capital of the world. Okay. Yeah, I just feel like handling conflict of like knowing we're going to be okay. No one's done. Mm-hmm. Don't make those. That's what you cannot make is those accusations of, well, I'm done. Yeah. I'm out. Yeah. Like, if you're in a marriage and you believe in God and you believe in Jesus and you have a relationship, you cannot make those ultimatums. That is not okay. Yeah. Like, those were made in our marriage and it was scary. Mm-hmm. And we no longer talk like that or have that communication. Yeah,
it's not a thing. We're going to have time for one more question. And that was a good one, though. So allowed us to dig in a little bit. You got one that sticks out to you?
I'm kind of... Oh, there's the timer.
Hey, now.
Some of these are, like, kind of repeat topics, so...
Yeah. I like, You have one?
No, go ahead.
As partners, what's your biggest strength you see, or what's the biggest strength you see in your partner?
I'd say for you, like, what I see right now, because, I mean, it changes, is that you're just so willing to help. Like, you're so willing to have a helping hand, and you've grown so much of, like, thinking of, like, what does this person need? I can help, but also in a way that's, like, not overstepping. You know, because, like, you may not be in that role and you don't want to seem like a know-it-all, but when you can, if that makes sense, like, you just are there available to help out any way you can, in a healthy way. It used to be not a healthy way. I don't know how that's going to affect the shot.
It's fine.
Okay.
Do what you got to do, girl.
Okay, because it's like...
Yeah, it's coming out from behind the clouds.
But it,
So sorry.
No, you're good. It is something that is really great to see, because that's something I know you've worked on. Especially because you're the type of person, and I think you're working through this, is like, if I don't know how to do it, then I don't know how to help. And now you're like, I can ask questions. Yeah. I can be available. And that shows humility. So I think humility is a big strength of yours, and availability in the right ways. You used to be available in some of the wrong ways of, like, your time at work and, like, people needing to get a hold of you. And now it's like you're more protective of time. Yeah. So that's another area too. Two for one.
I was going to say, I kind of have two. But as you're, like, talking, I'm, like, trying to remember the things. No, I think I'm going to wait for that airplane.
Air capital of the world. We can do an airplane count if we ever are outside.
Yes.
Just two.
Yes. Dude, eventually it'd be kind of cool if we actually do build a thing out here.
I know.
That would be great for this, because then the sun would not affect us.
We should also think about, this is another project, but we should also think about how much it would cost to extend the balcony.
Yeah. probably wouldn't cost that much. The 4x4 is gonna be the
3! Is it another jet?
No, this one is, I wonder if my shot's still the same. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that is the beauty of doing it inside, is controlled lighting.
Yeah, but still, you get nature.
You know, so I would say one of your strengths is that you're always willing to learn. So like you kind of take on, you've always been the person like you'd have a new passion or a new hobby, but you would like devote everything into it so that you would learn every best way to do that as possible.
Yeah.
And you're not afraid to fail in it. Like you'll do something and then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to do it better next time. I'll learn it next time. And like the sourdough thing is definitely because like every loaf was different, you know. And now you're really consistent on like getting good loaves.
Yeah.
But for a while I was like, oh, that's too flat. Oh, that's too doughy. Oh, that's too, you know, or the crust was too hard, or like, yeah. So that's one thing that I think like everything you put your mind to, you're like willing to put the work in to learn. You're going to research it. You're going to watch every YouTube video that ever came out about it. And you're going to figure out how to do it, which is, I think is, that's a huge strength. A lot of people give up before, you know, they're just like, this isn't for me. Like, you're like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it. So I think that's definitely a huge strength. I also think you are, dang it, I forgot this second part. Where am I going with it?
Good to learn, determination.
Yeah.
Just the best person ever? No.
Yeah, that's
kidding.
That's
kidding.
It's going to be on your subtitle this week, on your lower third. Becky Trickle, best person ever.
No, that's far from the truth.
I think overall, this is where I was going, but I forgot the word I had for it. But I think overall, you're just a very understanding person. You are willing to hear somebody out and talk through it and just like figure out like, okay, you put yourself in their shoes. You're like willing to like, okay, this is probably how they're seeing it. This is how they're feeling. This is, rather than just like getting caught up in your own.
Almost like perception.
Yeah. So like seeing somebody else's perception, I think is a strength of yours, because you're so good at like having conversations with people that they are struggling and maybe you disagree with what they're doing or saying, but like you find a way to like understand where they're coming from, not to agree with whatever they're doing or working on, but you're like, you understand the lens they're looking through. So that helps you to communicate with them better, whether it's me or our kids or like coworkers or friends, like family. You have a good ability to like see through their lens. That's what I was trying to say, is like to look through their lens, because I think that's rare, as like the human nature is like we see through our lens, we see through our experience, our perspective, but it's so helpful to like get behind theirs and see like, okay, this is where they're coming from, this is what they've been through in their life to get them to this response, and then you find a good way to communicate through that, which is another strength, really. So
thanks.
Yeah, I'll just go down the list of all the things.
Oh, that's so nice.
But yeah, so this has been good. I feel like we could just go on and on and on, but we're gonna.
No, we got things to do.
Yeah, we're gonna get going with our day and get some projects.
I'm so
done.
ready.
Yeah, we gonna go load the trailer up, get some things, get some lumber, get
Cattle
some panels.
Yeah, we cannot forget to record.
No, we're just gonna carry the. We need to. If anybody wants to just follow us around on Tuesdays with a camera.
If Augie were here, maybe.
I know. Freaking Augie. We need to train Truett.
He's in school.
He's in school. That would not help us. We need to train a squirrel. We could strap a camera.
Callie. Strap a camera to Callie.
She does follow you everywhere.
Follow me everywhere.
Just give her a GoPro.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Literally, that would be hilarious.
That would be so funny to see her view on something. Maybe we'll do a Callie episode.
That would be funny. Just cut the parts that actually look okay.
Yeah. And that was an experiment of using our poodle as a camera woman.
Should we go get her real quick?
Sure.
So you can see who we're talking about?
She's here waiting. Come on. Go get Mama.
Hey, sit. Here, sit. Good girl.
Yeah, this is Callie. What is she, 6 years old?
Yep.
6 years old. And she annoys the crap out of me most days because she's a good dog, but she's dumb sometimes.
But she's also very obedient.
She's a very obedient dog. She just lacks natural instinct sometimes of, she barks at all of her own people.
She'll bark at us. I'm like, what are you doing?
You're looking right at us and she can't control, so she just like, "Bark." I'm like, literally? But she's a good dog.
She is.
She's a good dog. I want another dog.
No. All right, on that note.
She's done. So.
I am, yep.
All right, thanks guys. We'll see you later.